There we are. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Tess.
It's nice to see everyone. All right, go for it.
All right, so welcome to August 2023's Access and Engagement meeting. If you haven't joined us before, my name is Jim Zenner. I'm the Director of Military Veteran Affairs, and I'm a co-chair for the group along with Tess Banco with US Vets is our other co-chair. And so to get us kicked off, please, welcome everybody. If you've been here before, we're looking to please introduce yourself in the chat, whether you're new, and indicate if you're new, please, and put all your information in the chat as we go. Typically, we had new incomers or newcomers to the group introduce themselves on camera, but we've been running out of time with the group, so we're cutting that portion out. But please do share your information in chat. This is a great information exchange. As typically we have anywhere from 70 to 80 different entities on this call. So mission and vision of the Access and Engagement Working Group. This is really where the rubber meets the road. A lot of our peer support, case managers, leavers, DevOps, folks that help veterans and their families day in and day out, come to talk about what the barriers are, whether it's related to legislative issues, or services. So what's working, what's not working, and most importantly, the gaps. So this is a group where we put together that information in a monthly email and make sure that decision makers at the VA, at the county, at the state are getting that information so that they can use that to change legislation, change policy, inform funding decisions in the future. So this is really a way to give our folks on the ground that are doing the work day in and day out a voice with leadership. So that's really the mission, the vision of the Access and Engagement. And then from there, we roll into standing reports. So with that, Tess, did you want to lead us through the standing reports portion?
Yeah, absolutely. So typically we start with federal government. So if we have any federal government representatives here with us today, we welcome you to go ahead and report. Legislators' offices. If no one's here from any of the legislative offices, then we can move into VA. Anyone here with VA Greater Los Angeles Healthcare System? I think the agenda is going to go quick today. I can actually give a little bit of an update. I know Andrew Strain from VA Greater Los Angeles Planning Office often joins us. There have been some changes on the campus in terms of resources moving around. He reported out last month on this, but I think it's a really important point. Building 257, which is the Welcome Center for Unsheltered Veterans, has now moved down to the South Campus in Building 400. So that's just a change to be mindful of if you're working with veterans who need to go into the Welcome Center and you send them there. Just make sure that they know it's Building 400, which is adjacent to the main hospital tower. And that's basically all I've got. Anyone join us for standing reports?
Anybody from LA Regional Office?
Okay. We can move into the legislative and policy update. So Richard with DAV, are you here?
Oh, yeah, I'm here. I just had to unmute. Well, you're all aware that the Congress is on recess till after Labor Day. So that, in a way, is a good thing because it ain't causing any trouble. But with regard to legislation itself, there's HR 984, Commitment to Veteran Support and Outreach Act, which Jim could address because a lot of what's in that bill affects his office. There's also HR 491, Return to Housing Act, HR 645, Healthy Foundation for Homeless Veterans Act, HR 3511, that's the Service Disabled Veterans Opportunities and Small Business Act, HR 4249, it's a Vet PFAS Act, and there's also one of vital importance to West LA, and that's HR 3848. A friendly substitute bill was introduced, and the summary report on that and the language to that bill is still in progress. So I don't have anything to really discuss relative to that because I haven't seen the language yet. And there's also HR 4566, the Presume Act. And what that's about is providing radiation exposed service members undisputed medical eligibility act. That's the title. And essentially what that has to do with making changes to Title 38, Section 3.311 dose. As it stands right now, veterans exposed to ionization radiation must be able to prove the dosage of radiation they were exposed to. And that's affecting some of the items in the PACT Act, those that were in Weetalk, Palmyra, Spain, and Tully, Greenland. And then there's also some other exposures to radiation that are affected. So we need to get that changed. And that's the purpose of the HR 4566. In addition to legislation, I wanted to mention the Women Veterans Health Care on the VA website. They have quite a bit of detail with regards to post-pregnancy health care. And I think it'd be interesting for many of our women veterans to know what's available to them. And then don't forget today's drop dead date for the retro on the PACT Act benefits and compensation going back to August of last year. So it's not too late to encourage our fellow veterans to get their intent to file in if they haven't gotten a claim processed. And so I encourage you all to make sure that all those on your networks are aware that they still have time today to get that done. And if there's any questions, that's all I have for right now.
Richard, is there any particular piece of legislation that could use our group's support or letters to legislators by veterans?
Yes, all those I just mentioned.
Okay. All right, so if we can have a roll up then of those items so that veterans on the meeting and in the region know how to best be effective, that would be helpful.
Sure, what I can do is provide copies of each one of the bills so you'll be able to read them, except for those that are still in progress. And also which members of the congressional legislative body residing in LA County have co-sponsored these bills. So at least this way you'll know who's already on board and who isn't. That way you can target the legislators.
And this is important because, as you know, the bills that are passed, the laws that are written directly affect veterans and our care. So it's really important for us to stay on top of and add our voices to legislative efforts and advocacy. And thank you, Richard, for your report. Jim, with MVA, I wanted to kick it back to you if you had any further follow-up, and also wanted to give your standing report for Military and Veterans Affairs.
Yeah, thanks, Tess. So as Richard mentioned, the last day to preserve your date with PACT Act with the intent to file is today. I remember Emmett O'Mara, who's the director of LA Regional Office, addressed the last in-person meeting. I can't remember if it was last month or the month before, and he said that the 1-800-827-1000 number is probably the easiest way to get your intent to file in. So veterans, if you know any veterans that have yet to put in their intent to file, I'll go ahead and put it in the chat, but it's 1-800-827-1000, and they can get that in. They'll have up to a year after they do this. So if they do their intent to file today, they have up to, I believe, August 8th to actually do their claim and preserve the back date. So if somebody if a veteran did their intent to file today and filed their claim on August, in August 7th of next year, their back payment would include the close to 2 years on top of however long it takes the VA to adjudicate the claim if they're awarded. So it means a lot of money for veterans. So please, if you know any veterans that have not submitted their intent to file, please get them to do so today. Also, Bob Hope Patriotic Call. We are open 8 to 5 Monday through Friday. Wednesday, we're open till 8 p.m. It's been getting really busy. The word has been getting out about the PACT Act. But if anybody prefers getting their intent to file in person, we are open until 8 p.m. today. So just go ahead and have them walk in and we'll take care of them. That is pretty much it on MVA side of the house. I'll pass it back to you, Tess.
All right, so we'll move into, unless we have had anyone else join us who wants to give a standing report or legislative policy update. If you're here, raise your hand. If not, we'll move into the Veteran Care Access Network CBO. Okay, go ahead.
Hey guys, sorry,
Hey,
this is
Andrew.
I'm sorry, I was late to this meeting.
It's okay.
And this opportunity to give the report. Most of what I wanted to cover is already been shared. Obviously, the PACT Act and intent to file is really important and top priority right now. But also, I think was mentioned in the chat, wanted to provide an update that the VA Welcome Center at West LA move date and opening in building 257 from 257 to the South Campus building 402 is officially on for next week. If you need a map of where that's located or what that entails, please let me know. We've also got a couple events that are happening over the next few weeks. On August 18th, there is a meeting hosted by the Domiciliary Veteran Housing Resource Fair in Parking Lot 7. I'll drop that flyer in the chat, but should be a good opportunity to get connected to services and support with IDs. There's also an event that's being hosted by LA Metro in Building 500 with the various artists that have been selected for producing work inside the subway station. That's one that we are encouraging veterans to participate in, so the veteran voice can be captured as part of this artwork that's featured in the subway station, and one that I know veterans have been very interested in participating on and learning more about. So I'll put the information for both of those events in the chat here, and also my contact information. Please reach out if you have any questions for the VA Greater Los Angeles Planning Department.
Andrew, did the timeline get pushed back for the move out of 257? Or has that always been the timeline?
It did. It was supposed to happen at the beginning of the month. It got pushed back for a few more due diligence items, but now is officially on for the 14th. It should be operational in building 402 on the 15th.
Okay,
This
awesome.
also allows a subsequent move from our HUD-VASH intake team from building 158 to building 257. So there's kind of a cascade of moves that are happening to allow some of those buildings to transition over to become housing.
Yes, and there are 5 buildings in progress right now, which is a very, very good thing for the community. But anyway, thank you, Andrew. And yes, if you can put the information.
Andrew, I had a quick question.
Go ahead.
Sorry, guys, this is Rebecca. Andrew, I just heard that UCLA Law Clinic moved, that they're in the Human Resources building. Is that was published, and perhaps I was under a rock because I can be. But does everybody know that as well, or is that relevant?
Yeah, that happened, I think, last month. They're currently in building 218, which is the administrative building across from the chapel. I believe they're on the first floor, and they are open on Tuesdays, I believe. but are also probably best to reach through their website.
Yeah, I think they're back next week, the 21st or something from vacation.
Hi, and this is Juan, the director of Veterans Initiatives and Partnerships. If you guys have any questions, please, I put my information on there for the legal clinic. Please let me know and I'll connect you with those folks.
Awesome. Great. Thanks, Rebecca, for bringing that up. And Jim, I'll kick it back to you for the VPAN CBO reports.
I think Amanda has her hand
Oh,
up first.
okay.
Yeah,
A
I was
quick
just
little
gonna kick that
update
one
on kind of, I don't, maybe the homelessness group will talk about this too, but two kind of big things that people should know about is that, so with the emergency rental assistance program, the county, I believe it's the county or the city, anyhow, it is with the housing department accidentally mailed out checks twice for these people who are receiving it. And so the thing is to not cash the second check if you have clients who did receive that money under that program to pay any back rent, because unfortunately it will become due. They're going to want it back. And so it just kind of creates this issue. So I'm just putting it out there so that if anyone gets like, hey, I was mailed 2 ERAP checks, tell them not to deposit at least one of them. And then the second thing is, I think is really important, and I'm really glad to hear about, is that Karen Bass has, and a lot of other kind of council members in LA has created this investment fund. And so it's basically just creates a way for the LA County to create more proactive tenant outreach and give tenant resources, as well as work with the LA Superior Court to really help people who have been received an unlawful detain or so an eviction action, and just try to make it easier. And this goes along with the county pushing for and passing the right to counsel movement, which is like everybody who has an eviction should be entitled to get some kind of attorney. So hopefully these resources will be really great to tenants who are in veterans. I mean, anyone essentially living in the city and county of LA to prevent homelessness. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I can kind of send you more information that I have on those, but those are just two important ones, I thought.
So Amanda,
Yeah.
is it possible for us to make a really simple how-to, or you know what I mean?
For what?
Contact list for, tenants in
Oh.
regards to evictions and how to tap into the fund and all that stuff.
I don't know how to do it. I think that I'm just passing it on, like information I've learned. I think that it would be something to definitely connect with the people who are doing it, and Stay Housed LA, because they're the leader. They're the leader for the state, right to counsel movement. So that's what I would definitely recommend. But yeah, we can talk offline about ways. There may already be a guide out there how to get into the ERAP.
Okay, let's talk offline, because I have a couple law clerks and we've got the mayor's veteran liaison. And I want to make it as simple and easy for all of our vets to get, housing is a huge deal. The mayor, that's, she's always touting, that's her main thing. I want to make it as easy as possible because that's such a huge stressor, evictions and what have you.
Yeah, and just not to belabor, because we got to keep moving, but if legal working group has any recommendations, this has been talked at the Board of Supervisor meetings quite a bit lately. And my colleague Raphael, who's the department head over at Department of Consumer and Business Affairs, this is one of his biggest projects right now. So if you have any recommendations specific to vets, please kick those up to me and I can have a conversation with Raphael.
Well,
as well as get somebody from his department to come speak to the group. So
Jim, can you hook us up with Raphael?
yeah, or one of his delegates. He's really busy these days, so he might say he's
One of his delegates is cool.
Yeah. If you
Thank
could
you
just
so
do me
much.
a favor, Jody, send me an email, and I'll make that happen.
You got it. Thank
Cool.
you.
Rebecca, and then Christina. Rebecca,
Did you say me, Jim?
yes.
Okay, I just wanted to announce that we're doing our second dental clinic this year on September 14th. We'll be sending out packets with a flyer and an application on Monday, so I'll make sure it gets circulated to the group. But it's 100 veterans can be served. It's first come, first served, and it's in partnership with the USC Mobile Dental Clinic. So it'll be located in the parking lot behind the federal building. So we're hoping that we get all of your veterans who don't get dental through the VA and could use some dental care. Thank you.
Yeah, just on that, if there's a homeless veteran that does not have access to dental, when they go into GPD or an HCHV program, they're eligible for dental while they're in that program. So that's just incentive when you're outreaching veterans that are homeless to convince them to kind of get into temporary housing. Christina?
Yeah, and CTRS also can send folks now to dental. So if anyone's at CTRS, they qualify for that as well. Thank you.
Rebecca.
All right, group attention. Just kidding. It's Christina Barraza here with SDG, Director of Veteran Programs. I just wanted to make an announcement really quick. For VPAN, we have one team that was VOALA for SD2, who is now under USS Battleship Iowa. So that's SD2 who will be reporting here next. So just wanted to make that announcement. Thanks, Jim.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I just with Andrew joining, I was just reminded we've been doing a series of town halls in each supervisorial district. The supervisors, if they're not able to attend, they send their staff. So you can get a direct link to county leadership as we kind of go around. We did our first town hall in SD4 in Whittier a month and a half ago, and then we did our second one in the city of Lawndale with SD2 in Holly Mitchell's office last week. So we're going to continue to go around to each SD, and we're going to make it an ongoing thing. So please look out for communication related to that. Very grateful for our partners over at VHA, usually Andrew and a member of the outreach team from the VHA attend. We have Emmett that's been attending for VBA, as well as Anthony Rodriguez from Calvet. So really want to get information out, but also be there to hear from you all in your communities, your specific supervisorial districts, what the needs are in your area and your concerns. So last much back to you, Tess.
All right, we will go ahead now and go through the CBO reports. So we'll start with SD1. And these are important because they allow all of us on this meeting to be able to have a firsthand understanding of what's going on in the ground in each of the districts in the county. So let's go with SD1.
All right, well, I'll go ahead and just introduce myself. My name is Leo Trinos. I'm the VPAN SD1 program manager with JVS SoCal. And I know we're just reporting out our barriers today, so we'll go ahead and pass it over to Jose Rodriguez. He's our service coordinator.
Good morning, everyone. So some of our barriers that we're having is the veterans are becoming their own barriers, whether it be they're not good with tech or they're not self-advocating. So what our battle buddies are doing, thinking outside the box, is meeting with the veterans, whether it be at a CAP, at a public space or rally points. Really sitting down with them and helping them register, whether it be the PACT Act or creating a e-benefits account, and sometimes even an email. Battle buddies are helping our vets just create the basic needs. Other than that, rent arrears, some of these landlords are not wanting to go through the eviction process and are asking veterans just to pay the rent arrears and leave. So some of the solutions for that, we were turning into Change Reaction, Village for Vets, Ava Parker Foundation, Simplify Fund, Wounded Warrior Project. So that's how we're trying to tackle that barrier that we're having. Other than that, guys, we have 4 upcoming events and 1 position open for a battle buddy here at SD1. Thank you.
All right, thanks. We'll move into SD2, BOA Los Angeles.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Brian Palomera here, Assistant Program Manager with districts 2 and 4 at the Battleship, Iowa. With that, I'm gonna go ahead and pass it over to our Assistant Service Coordinator, Audrey Chan.
Hello, everybody. Yes, I am the Assistant Service Coordinator for SDs 2 and 4. And today we're going to report out about our barriers, which also has to do with housing and shelter. Some of these barriers include just the cost of rent, having elderly senior veterans that are living on a fixed income and having to navigate the rising cost of rent in our cities. Along with the changes to the vouchers, needing to be chronically homeless for a year. That's been a barrier as well. And just some of the ways that we're combating that in similarity to SD1 is making sure that they're utilizing all of their benefits. They're, getting in for the PACT Act and making sure that they're supplementing their income in any way that they can. So that's pretty much what we have for barriers today. We're also very excited to announce that we've hired 4 new wonderful peers. They are Ellie Lopez, Danny Perez, Trinidad Smith, and Josh Boyd, and one amazing new squad leader, Jerry Johnson, who is here with us today on the meeting. So with that, I will pass it to SD3.
Absolutely.
Hello, everybody.
Oh, sorry.
I don't know if you can see me. Can you see me?
Yes. Well, we could a minute ago. There we go.
Okay. Yes, my name is Freddie Marion. I'm the service coordinator here for SD3. Before I report our barriers, I just want to let everyone know that we have moved into our new location. I'll drop our address in the chat, but we are now located in Sherman Oaks, a great location. We're looking forward to having our opening ceremony sometime later in September. But our barriers are similar to the rest of the team. Technology, the use of technology with the older vets, just like SD1 stated, we're having to show some of our older veterans how to use technology, set up e-benefits accounts or my vet accounts, and just help them, just traverse through the process of using this technology. Another one of our barriers, rental arrears. We have a lot of rental requests for large amounts of money. So any type of support on how to help these veterans pay those rental arrears would be awesome. Other than that, we don't have any other barriers. Just looking forward to continue helping our veterans. And I'll pass it over to SD4.
SD2 and 4, I believe, were covered.
Yeah, just if I can real quick. So moving forward in future meetings, it's really important that we distinguish SD2 from SD4. And so if we could do an SD2 specific barrier report and then an SD4 specific barrier report, it's really important just because we use this to inform county leadership for budget reasons and collaboration, stuff like that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Got it. Thank you, Jim. Will do.
So I think we can move on then now to SD5.
Well, good morning, everyone. Hopefully everyone's doing well today. With that being said, we have quite a few challenges and barriers, and mainly coming up from the Antelope Valley area. So I just want to be very distinct on this one. One of the things we're seeing right now in the community is the active service members transitioning to civilian community. That's something that we spoke about in our AV stakeholders meeting this last week. Some of the challenges is the fact that we're seeing a lot more Army needing support and help during transition. I know it's a DOD thing or maybe even a federal, so we even have any federal legislator here, something to think about and consider pushing DOD to actually do a better job in transitioning across the board. Lack of knowledge of community resources and VA resources is something we're seeing a lot as well. VA transportation is minimal up here in the Antelope Valley. There's a lot of schedule restraints for VA healthcare, so being able to move individuals from up here to Antelope Valley all the way to get them signed up or get specialty care down to the VA healthcare. And of course, the lack of knowledge of the community care in the community as well. I know someone's going to ask me about that. I know we also have a CBOC, which is they only have a morning shuttle and they don't have an afternoon shuttle up here as well. VA used to sponsor Ubers and Lyft during COVID. So ever since they removed that, it actually caused a lot of barriers up here as well for getting services and healthcare as well. Transportations are needed during the weekdays as well and weekends. The other thing we're looking at as well from our end, the transportation with anybody to the VA for appointments when it comes to wheelchair, mechanical wheelchairs. Obviously, our Lancaster CBOC is very limited, so I'm hoping that we have eventually down the line we're able to get. I'm still promoting that we need the only reason we don't have there's lack of head count, but we can't have a head count if we don't have a place to actually get people to enroll in. So kind of goes hand in hand with one or the other. We have no social workers in Lancaster CBOC or HPAC up here, which to promote that. HPAC not connecting veterans after they've seen a healthcare provider and everything, they don't get a follow-up from a lot of these places. Once and done, nothing is in there. The other thing, no follow-ups with community partners as well. The only main VA hospital is in West Los Angeles and Long Beach. We need more VA outreach information access to veteran healthcare. Because of that, that's the reason why we have lack of VH health enrollment as well. And then of course we have no grant per diem housing up here, access to permanent housing in the Antelope Valley, shortage on HUD-VASH employees causing backlog for granting HUD-VASH vouchers. Estimated time right now saying 6 months. VA homes in Antelope Valley are needed, and lack of cognitive mental decline housing in the Antelope Valley.
All right, thank you, Jimmy. All right, so next we'll move into the sound off and the working group action updates. So Jim, I'll kick it to you.
All right, so we're opening the floor up to everybody around any kind of barriers that you're seeing, both legislatively. So what that looks like for a while, veterans who were getting housed from HUD-VASH were ineligible for HVRP. This is many years ago. And so that really created an issue for access to employment issues for veterans that were just recently housed and looking for employment. That's long been fixed, I think, through Senator Tester and Congress. But that's an example. If there's conflicting eligibility issues with federally funded, state funded, or any county programs, that's what we mean by like policy and legislative, like regulations can get in the way of helping people. So pointing that out, if there's big advocacy issues where legislation is needed, it's another topic to bring up. And then of course, issues related to services as well. If something's working really well and you think we need more of, if something's not working well, Jimmy gave us a good start on this. That, and then if there's any gaps, if there isn't a resource that somebody's aware of. And what the intent is we're going to take this and roll this into the working groups. So older adults was brought up as a barrier, like issues, training for older adults. So if there's not a working group to assign, I'll go ahead and take the lead on that. So I'll reach out to my colleagues at Aging and Disability to work on getting some resources and information around helping older adults with living skills. But that's the intent of this time. And so we did a good job of freeing up a lot of time to hear from you exactly what these barriers are so we can knock them out. And I see Ann has her hand up.
Hi, good morning, Jim and everyone. Actually, I apologize because I wasn't sure whether I should be speaking during the standing reports meeting or like maybe after VPN related to some updates with the SRT. Can I do that now or should I?
Yeah, stuff around VSRT. Yeah, that can be part of the standing reports. So, but yeah, now it's fine.
Okay, thank you so much. I apologize. Okay, so really quick, exciting update. This is essentially like hot off the press in terms of our VSRT. So we are able to have all the parties, the VA and our county department's approval for the authorization of release of information for next of kin and the introduction letter. And so that's really exciting because I believe, as you are aware, it's been quite a bit of a challenge to try to get all the departments and legal counsels together to agree on a working document to send to next of kin. And so we're excited to have that approval. And so we will be moving forward when reviewing 20 cases. The Department of Medical Examiner will be reaching out to families ahead of time so that it will help in terms of the family recognizing the letters that they're receiving and maybe understanding what that might be. So excited to just kind of getting that started. The co-chairs are meeting to work out the workflow and try to figure out in terms of like, the timeline of the outreach and also who will be sending out the letters and the consent form. So very exciting. I mean, this is a long been waiting for our department as well as all the other county departments and partners in the community to get the VSRT off the ground. So just wanted to share that piece of news to the group here. Thank you so much.
And that's probably really confusing for a lot of folks on this call. So if you're interested in learning more about what the county's doing around VSRT, can they reach out directly to you, or do you have a point of contact where they can reach out?
You can reach out directly to me. I apologize because I have thought that perhaps VSRT has been updated here before.
It does. I think the acronyms sometimes might get a little confusing though with different programs. So
yeah.
Yeah.
We have new folks too. A lot of new folks and changing. So yeah, if you're interested in learning what the county is doing around veteran suicide, please reach out to On if you haven't put your
I'll type an email in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah, I just had to Google it, VSRT, so.
Sorry,
I should know.
Veteran
Suicide Review Team for everyone who needs to know.
It's so funny because when I first started working with vets, right, I remember having to catch myself with all or actually just really learning all the acronyms and everything. And so here I am doing it. So I apologize.
Thank you. All right. Getting back to the sound off and the barriers. Anyone have anything that hasn't been covered? Something you want to raise? A veteran you want to help, perhaps?
I would like to raise an issue. I've had previous communications with the National Endowment of the Arts, and they have indicated from Veterans Affairs not having any representation to communicate with them in order to receive or to even, be allocated the foundation. And they indicated that I should reach within the Veterans Affairs within the West LAVA as to on behalf of fellow veterans, because they are in my community. And I have been involved in art, veterans art projects, hosting projects since 2010 on the VA campus. And support in my direction have been little to very little. Certain individuals within the wonderful office at Bob Hope Patriotic Hall, thank you for their support, but it's so scattered that it is so difficult for me to home in as far as to where to get funds to continue. For example, I host every month the Paint and Snack, and I've been doing that ever since 2010. And since the Annenberg Foundation have left the VA where it was once located on the North Campus, and it moved out of the VA relationship back in 2012. And ever since then, my Paint and Snack, the way I continue it is and I'm very proud to say this because I'm able to do this, I juggle my own private jewelry to keep it going. I have served over 520 veterans since 2014 who appreciate art as a therapeutic avenue to expand their quality of life, and through various forms of art exercises and fun tranquility items that it is in such big demand. But because of the department, it's so many department heads, no one really knows where to direct my interests as far as keeping the therapeutic arts alive. And at the same time, my battle with Metro has been for 5 years, which some of you know that I have an ongoing issue trying to work out with them as far as the unfair contract to ignore fellow veterans, but they have contract with only non-veteran artists for the projects. So I don't mean to babble on, but that's my kind of frustration, and forgive me if I'm not very much in order or procedure and so forth. It's just a heartfelt, ongoing experience that I've had without any direct point of interest within the West LA VA system.
Thank you, Phyllis. I
Yes.
think we do have Andrew Strain here, but I will say on behalf of the principal developer team that's working on the North Campus transformation, that the arts, the therapeutic arts, are
Yes.
something that figure prominently into the community plan that we've created. So
Yes.
I'd love to connect with you directly to talk about macro community programming,
Yes.
partnership. It's definitely therapeutic for veterans. I know myself, having post-traumatic stress disorder and military sexual
Yes.
trauma.
Yes.
Yeah, so let's connect. And Andrew, do you also have comments on this?
And so Andrew put his, let's keep it moving along, but Andrew.
Yes,
Contact
he
information.
did. Thank
Great.
you.
That wants to connect with you, Phyllis, so.
Okay, thank you. And
All
thank
right.
you for Village for Vets, because they have been very supportive. Thank
Yeah, I see Rebecca's
you.
hand up.
Yeah, thank you, Phyllis. We love working with you.
Yes.
Mine is a twofold. I mean, I'm sure I could be late to the game because sometimes I'm just focused on what I'm doing, but I recently had an issue having so much difficulty finding emergency shelter for a veteran and her 16-year-old daughter. So that was a recent barrier. I reached out to US Vets Cabrillo, and they only take kids up to 12. And so just really wondering what has been done or what will be done to make space for our veteran families, because that just continues to be a difficult population to put anywhere without paying for a hotel for them. And as you know, the hotel vouchers, I mean, the hotel program through SSVF is now limited. So just plugging that out there. But I did want to also shout out VPAN, because John Fulmer has been amazing. Rudy and his team at Sherman Oaks helped my dad finally get his PACTAC filed. So I just want to really shout out the VPAN team and how much of a pleasure it is to work with all of you guys. And I continue to look forward to working together more. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Rebecca.
I see
Right.
Richard's next.
Yeah, Richard.
I was just busy writing a note to Jim, but anyway, the VA 800 number, they'll be in operation till 8 o'clock this evening. So we still have time besides the Patriotic Hall to get these last minute intent to file a claim in. So I just wanted to mention that.
Thanks, Richard. 8 o'clock at Patriotic Hall or 8 o'clock on the line. We got some options for vets. Hey, just before we get to Anthony, announcement at West LA, Andrew, and I don't mean to step on your toes, but we saw the press release for the mobile medical unit that's coming to Greater Los Angeles. The community is extremely excited about that. I was given the heads up that delivery is delayed from August 14th to September 6th. But just speaking to SIR's leadership, they have a plan to roll out staff and start taking medical services out to our homeless vets on the street. So we're very excited and appreciate VA's efforts on that. So just quick announcement. Anthony?
Yeah, Jim, appreciate you mentioning that. And for folks who want to be involved in the planning of how this is rolled out, please feel free to reach out. I think our HPAC is taking the lead on deploying this mobile medical unit. But yeah, exciting stuff.
Yeah, and connecting them, just for your awareness, Andrew, connecting them with the street medicine teams from LA County and the cities, from the county, just so that there's some coordination there as well. So, Anthony?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that on August the 26th at the Vet Center in East LA, CalVet is hosting an event called Pathway to Citizenship, where we will have attorneys available and free of charge help any veteran, National Guard member, or reservist and their families become naturalized. There'll be no cost. And we're currently putting that together. They'll start the process. Typically, the process is about $800. They're going to get it greatly reduced. So it's a free service. California is the only state that does this. I put the flyer in the chat box for registration. So please tell your clients, it's a tremendous service, and many Army reservists were brought in. They were recruited knowing they were not citizens and promised that they would be given citizenship, and unfortunately the Army dropped the ball. The state of California is trying to pick up the slack, and this is the upcoming event. So August 26th, Saturday at the VA, at the Vet Center, East LA.
Thanks, Anthony.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Any other barriers or gaps, Anil?
One thing that I just wanted to bring up for the team and with everybody here is our average to accept referrals skyrocketed this month. It's always for the last 2 years when I've been looking at stats, it's been like 1.1, 1.2. This month it was 4.2. So 4.2 days to referral acceptance. And of course, right, there's going to be outliers. So I'm not here calling anybody specifically out, but I just want to continue, right? Like we've had a fantastic track record. So just keep working on those referrals and accepting them. And, you know, if you don't accept them, that's okay. Like send them off and say, hey, we can't do it. And let's get to that next door so we can get them in and get their support. So just a reminder, right? Like 4.2 days is a long time. We really try to hit that 1 to 2 days max. So if those referrals are not something you can do or not somewhere you can support, please, you know, cancel them, deny them, and then, you know, let's connect and make sure that we can support the team.
Great, thanks, Anil. Is that James?
John?
Floor's yours, sir.
John?
We can't hear you, John.
And you're not, okay.
John, if you could type it in the chat, I'll read it out loud for everybody if that sounds good. And I know we have it's 10 minutes for barrier assignments and updates, but I think we'll be able to get through that pretty quick. So we'll get this last one from John, and then we'll transition into that if that sounds okay to us.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Good morning, Tracy. Thanks for joining. Anybody else with a quick barrier while we're waiting for John to type his in?
No.
Actually, I think Dennis, if you're still on, if you have something to put out, we got some time here. Or we can wait until next month during the standing reports either way, sir.
Jim,
Yes, Jody.
I'd just like to put out to the whole group, if anybody has anyone that has served in the military that gets arrested in LA County, to please refer them to CVJP.
Second that. Jody and CVJP are the first people that I call if I have a veteran that's justice involved, and they're very responsive, and Jody knows the justice system like the back of her hand. So
there are special criminal statutes for this population. We are the subject matter experts on this. We can de-stress them. We'll get them hooked up to mental health services. We'll liaison with their criminal defense attorneys. I don't want to take up any time, but I'll put in our office email. Please send them to us as soon as possible.
Yeah, so while we're waiting for John, just a reminder, so we're restructuring the meeting, and today is from 9 to 11. So we're going to have 2 virtual in between a quarterly in person. And so the virtual, this is the access and engagement part. We're going to roll right into the working groups, and we're going to assign barriers for particular working groups with our last 5 minutes. So it's going to be a little clunky for the first couple times. Appreciate your patience ahead of time, but we're really wanting to turn this into an action-oriented, just packed 2 hours so that we're actually creating the change that we need to create out there for our veterans and their families. So John, I'm gonna look for John's comment in the chat, and if we don't have it, here we go. John mentioned the barrier I have noticed at LA Pierce College for vets are transition issues, and I wanted to shout out VPAN for their great support for student vets. Awesome. Thanks, John, or it says Charles on here. If it's Charles, my apologies. I've been calling you John. But thanks for that. And I'll give an update next month on kind of what we're doing for transitioning vets here in LA County, and maybe Anthony, you could talk about CalTAPs. We could tag team that next month. All right. So with that, so we didn't work out the logistics. So this is where clunky comes in. So I think Tess, you weren't taking notes, right? We had Daniel taking notes, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, Daniel, could you hop on and give us our first barrier that was mentioned? So I took some notes. It's going to be really clunky because I can barely read my handwriting. But the first one I got is living skills, use of technology, particularly for our older veterans. So that is something that I'll take point on, and I'll sign that. So that's not a working group. That's going to be me reaching out to my colleagues at county and city, getting a list of their resources around this issue, and perhaps having them come talk about those, or maybe sharing flyers. So that one I will take.
Jim, real quick, we know how to get free phones. One of the things is vets creating an email address and using it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
So join legal and reentry working group after this to get more information.
On the Tech 101 piece, I also have seen that working with the population of 62 and over veterans who are now residing in Building 207 at West LA. So we do have some materials for Tech 101 that I would also be willing to share.
Yeah, great. Rental arrears. We'll housing and homelessness seems appropriate for that one.
Jim, maybe legal can team with homelessness. I'm hoping we can create a sort of a cogent how-to list for how to get housing, how to deal with evictions, how to deal with foreclosures.
Okay.
Yeah, a guide, a resource guide.
So next one is transportation, SD5 particularly. So we don't have a working group for that. So maybe LAVC, we can reach out to Metro. Any other ideas?
Jim, is SB5, is that Antelope Valley?
SD5 is Antelope Valley, Glendale, Burbank, all the way out to San Dimas, like the northern portion of San Gabriel Valley.
So as you know, there's the Antelope Valley Alliance, which is another veteran collaborative.
We're already working with them, Jody.
Okay, just saying. And, Dennis Tucker, Metro, and God,
Jody, I love the spirit, but we got like 10 barriers to get through. So, well, I prefer one-word sentences with ideas moving forward, please. So we got Metro, we got VA, because there was also a mention of no shuttles, afternoon shuttles. So we'll put that one together. Lack of community care knowledge, that's VA. CBOX don't have the afternoon shuttle, VA. Transportation on weekends. I think Antelope Valley, the Transit Authority, I don't know if there's anything there, Jimmy, but
maybe there's Uber. They used to do that with Uber, Jim. I don't know if that's available.
Okay. MTA, we'll also put that on the VA's radar. There was the mention of losing the Uber that the VA was doing. That wasn't on the VA side. That was a legislative thing. There's some legislative fixes that Richard mentioned that will restore the VA's ability to provide that in other stuff. So just put that on everybody's radar, but we'll reach out to VA on the transportation. Andrew, we'll get with you offline on this one.
And I also think there's is that in reference to the funds that we're providing rides through DAV Butterfly.
SSVF was able to, SSVF money was able to do that, all that stuff, so.
Because there was the funding that comes from the well on the oil drilling on the North Campus, and that was going towards DAV's rideshare program. And I'm not clear where that program stands now.
Yeah, so maybe an update from VA on that next month, maybe.
Yeah.
Oil funds, okay. No social worker in Lancaster CBOC, that is VA. Not getting a lot of follow-up from HPAC, that's VA. More VA outreach, VA, no GPD. I know, Jimmy, you've been bringing this up for a while. There is conversations, we are problem solving that. But we'll touch base with the VA and see what we can get as far as updates. Lack of mental health related to cognitive decline services in Antelope Valley. We'll bring that up with the VA, and nowhere for vets with family. We'll bring that up with VA.
Yeah.
Any barriers that I missed, Tess, that you?
The arts partnership, which we can work on between partners. I think that's pretty much it. I think the family emergency housing too is also, it's VA, but in addition, it's also the housing working group. So the transitional piece of it, figuring out how long, people can be housed for, and especially those with older children that are not yet adults.
Well, it looks like we finished on time. Thanks for joining, everybody. Really appreciate the patience as we kind of figure out this new structure. We'll see how it works. We're going to figure out where to inject updates on, where we're at as far as addressing the barriers on a regular basis, so that you guys all know that, it's worth your time to come here and lay out the barriers and you'll get results in regards to helping vets and family members. So thank you very much, and hand it over to Amy.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Jim. So there's 132 participants. So I really hope that you all can stay. Imagine how much work we can get done with 132 people focused on very specific veteran issues that are brought up during access and engagement. So if you have the time, that's why we shortened the meeting, because we were given the feedback that 3 hours is too long for people to take into their workday. We understand that, but we still have a lot of work to do as a community. So with that, the working groups are currently open. So you will just go to the bottom of your screen. If it doesn't show breakout rooms, then you'll hit the more button with the 3 dots. There should be the option to join a breakout room. If you're having difficulty, please just go ahead and type in the chat which room you'd like to go into, and then Anil and I will go ahead and move you into that breakout room.